Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. I still have a good 6-8 weeks left of time to grow all these warm weather crops, but it's August 1st. September's just around the corner. Temperatures here in Maryland Zone 7 are going to start dropping. This is the time that I start planting and planning my fall garden. So I'm going to show you in this series, it's going to be several videos over the next couple of months of how to grow a fall garden. So as August approaches, well, it's here, as of August 1st, Maryland Zone 7, you can start your fall garden. So what you're really doing is you're getting a lot of plants established. You can put peas in now, you can put carrots in now. They're going to establish, germinate, start to grow, and then that cool weather rolls in, and then they're going to take off because they thrive in the cool weather. Right down here, I've already started some really experimental seeds about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I have beets on the right, carrots, they're under shade cloth because it was too hot, over the last couple of weeks. Lettuce, spinach, radishes, peas. So you can start rolling these crops in. I will link the video that shows you, how I planted this up. First thing we want to do for the fall garden is to kind of go through your garden, remove all the summer crops that are kind of beyond their prime, that you just don't need anymore. No need to kind of keep plants going that aren't going to produce. So what I need to do is I need to open up some space. So I'm going to come right into here, and I'm going to open up the beds in there. Now I've let my butternut squash kind of grow all the way out here, which is wonderful because it's doing really well, and there are a lot of squash along there. They're winter squash. But I will move this around, open up these beds, and we'll get to planting and planning the fall garden. If it's still too hot in your area, maybe you're down south, you're gonna have to wait 3, maybe 4 weeks before you start, doing what I'm doing in my garden. But we can time it based on where our gardens are. So this will be an ongoing series. Please subscribe, and I will show you how to grow through the fall until a hard frost comes. I cleared out the space, leaving in some beets. They will continue to grow, get to size. I think this is like my second wave or third wave. Some big ones in there already. But I've opened up space, minus the pepper plant that seeded itself, which is pretty cool. This is where I'm going to start the fall crops now. So we're going to focus on peas and carrots. Cool weather crops can take a frost. The leaves can freeze. They don't get damaged. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on. However, peas, their flowers and their pods can't take a frost. So we really want to get them started now. They're going to grow, they're going to establish in the heat, the cool weather will come in, but the flowers and pods will be producing before the frost comes here in Maryland Zone 7. And again, if you're in a hotter area, you have to wait a little bit. Carrots can take a long time to germinate when it's cooler, so the heat of August right now will help those carrots germinate. They will be doing pretty well. The cool weather rolls in, like I was saying, and then you're going to have carrots by the end of the season. So today is peas and carrots. Let's go over to another space and I'll show you how I set it up for planting those crops. This is where I'm going to plant some peas. So when it's summer, the sun is beating down on here. The soil temperature is really 80-90 degrees, the top couple of inches. That's what kind of really dictates how warm crops grow and cool crops go. So I have shade cloth if I need it. You can use that if you're in a hotter area than Maryland Zone 7 right now. But the setup is pretty much the same. We're going to put in a handful of organic granular fertilizer around there, mix it in, I don't know, 4 inches deep or something like that. If you have compost, that's always better. You could put in 2 or 3 inches. If it's fully composted and broken down, you can just plant right into it. If it's still kind of breaking down, which means it needs some nitrogen, and you just don't want to put seeds into something that's breaking down because it'll challenge that plant for nitrogen. Mix that compost in 4 inches deep, you're good to go. You don't need to overthink it. Most of your gardens are going to be fine because you've taken care of them for the summer. The cool crops will be fine. They're mostly leafy greens anyway. We're going to be using water-soluble fertilizers to take care of the plants. So please subscribe, I'll show you how to do that. Any organic granular, this is a slow release. I think this might say a 533. You just want NP and K represented. Get whatever's on sale. They're all basically the same. So we are just scattering a handful of organic granular around, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't have to be fancy. I'll mix that into the soil. We're set up. Peas actually take nitrogen from the atmosphere through a relationship with the roots and soil life, so they do pretty well. But again, we're going to have that water-soluble fertilizer to really feed our cool weather crops. So I'm going to mix this in. I'll set up the seeds. We'll go to another place for the carrots, and we'll get planted for, the fall. Peas are pretty easy to grow. I love peas. I plant a ton of them, and I'm glad I can plant them in the spring and fall. There's basically three types. You have snow peas, which are flat and usually seen in stir fry. Sometimes the word sugar is in front, but you're looking for the word snow. You have snap peas, edible pod, mature pea. You can eat the whole thing. And sometimes, again, you'll see the word sugar, but you have snow peas, they're flat, snaps, which you can eat everything, and then you have shelling peas, and that's really delicious peas, but you can't eat the shell, so you have to take the peas out. Delicious. I grow all of them. Pretty easy to set up. So peas need to trellis. They are hollow stems, so if the wind comes, they snap really easily. So you're going to be planting them in two basic ways. Trellising, you can use something like this. I have all kinds of different trellises if you want to check out my channel for trellising. But you can see that I put the peas about 1 inch or 2 apart, going right along the trellis. And if you can't see them, there's one right there. You're just pushing it down about 1/2 inch deep, and I would do that for all the peas. And this 1/2 is going to be the sugar snap peas, so I can eat the pod and the pea. Other side will be probably the shelling peas. If you don't want to grow them this way, you can grow them basically in rows, and I just put the rows in so you could see it. And you would just drop 1 pea, 2 pea, 3 pea, 4 pea, 1 inch or 2 apart, and then you would push them down about 1/2 inch, and then maybe, I don't know what that is, 4 inches in between. And you can do rows like that. If you're going to put in rows this way, you want to drop in some sticks or stakes, maybe one there, and one there. This will allow the peas to climb up them. It will support them. And by planting them in this kind of square right here, they're going to also support each other. But you want some solid stakes in there, and tree branches work perfectly well. This is how you set up peas. Again, I mean, it's just, pretty simple. They're big, they're easy to see. Space them out, push them in, and then we'll water this in really well. Down the line, maybe we use some fertilizer for the peas. All right, let's get over to the other bed for the carrots. This is how I plant carrots. You can do the same setup, the same pattern for peas. I use a finger hole method. That's about 1/4 inch to maybe 1/2 inch deep for carrots, about 1 inch apart. That works perfectly well. The whole key to carrots is you want the soil to be really loose. This is loose down to a good 6 inches. If not, the taproot that goes down, the carrot's going to get twisted. You still can grow carrots. So you can get a couple different types of carrots. You can get ones with long taproots, 6, 8, 10 inches long. Shorter taproots, maybe 4 to 6 inches. And even round carrots. If you have really clay soil and it's hard to grow carrots, you can grow something that's round and it sits more on top of the soil. So nice and loose. Throw in the organic granular like you saw I did with the peas. And again, the granular organic is a slow release fertilizer that will feed back to your plants over the months. Soil biology has to break it down. When we get to that water soluble fertilizer, that's immediately available to your plant. I'll talk about that in future videos. I already put in seeds. I try and put in 2 to 3 seeds per hole. I will thin them down to 1 or 2 plants if more come up. The carrots will do perfectly fine that way. I really don't recommend putting in 1 seed just in case it doesn't germinate. Then you have wasted space. And carrot seeds are really small. You get tons of them. You're never going to use them all. You can store them. They're good for a couple of years, but even doing that, it's really hard to use all of them. So plant in a couple extra. This way you're not waiting around for them to germinate. I'm actually just going to scatter those around, see what comes up. So after you put in the seeds, these have all been planted with about 2 seeds per hole. I'm just going to cover it over like that. You want to water in your new seeds. Let's fix that. At least every 3 days while it's sunny and hot out, because you just don't want them to dry out. So nothing is working here. Hold on. All right, technical difficulty resolved. So a nice shower spray and really soak in the soil. If it's still warm, if it's getting into the upper 80s and 90s, you might have to do this every other day. Just don't let your seeds dry out while they're germinating. And again, today was on peas and carrots. Those are the first ones I get in. If you want to follow me, the next video is going to be really starting beets, turnips, some herbs, and I'm just going to do them, over the next week or 2, getting them ready for the fall here in Maryland Zone 7. All right, let's go back to the peas and carrots that are growing. I'll give a couple tips on that, and then we will move on. So here are some carrots. This is what they look like when they come up, and there are 2 right there, so those might just thin down to 1, the strongest one. They're a little more spaced out over there. There's 3 of them, so maybe I'll leave 2. And that's all you're really going to do. When you get to this size, you want to thin them down. Remember, keep them watered. We're not going to use any water-soluble fertilizer right now. That will come down the line. Here are peas that are, I think, maybe 2 to 3 weeks old. They're looking pretty good. You can see how closely I put them together. If you have rabbits, you may want to invest in a couple of these racks. Doesn't matter what they're called. If you go to the thrift stores, you can find dish racks. These are probably for some sort of shelving unit. They're really inexpensive. I got these like 3 for $1 actually. And you would just drop them over your peas. That will stop rabbits from getting to them. You could put them right over your carrots, lettuce, etc. That's just a nice way to protect your plants from the rabbits. Once they get bigger, sometimes the rabbits leave them alone. All right, so we got peas in, we have carrots in. What you're looking for, if you're in a different zone that's hotter than Maryland, right now we get into the upper 80s, 90 temperatures. As August ends, September starts, your temperatures will start dropping into the upper 70s and 80s. Soil temperature will start to come down, and that's what you want for your cool crops. Carrots will love the jump start right now. Peas will love the jump start, but we're really getting to the place where I'm going to roll out all of my cool weather crops. And if you're in a different zone, just follow those temperature guidelines I just gave you, and that's about when you want to start planting. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and follow. I'm going to do an entire fall planting garden series for 2022. Again, thanks for watching, and please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.